Here we are on a day that doesn't always exist. And no, it's not the one day of the year that I respect you. It's the 29th of February.
But it still exists.
It does exist, but it exists in a leap year. But if time is a social construct, what is E?
So does that mean we're not real?
We're not real, but you're real to me. Really f***ing great.
Okay, cool.
You mind if I say that?
I don't mind at all.
And I'm going to give you the quote, and I'm going to ruin it for you. It's from Epictetus.
Okay.
Easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say.
When children stick their hand down a narrow goody jar, they can't get their full fist out and start crying. Drop a few treats and you will get it out. Curb your desire. Don't set your heart on so many things and you will get what you need.
Wow. If he was around today, what do you think he'd be saying? Do you think he'd be saying about getting your hand in the Pringles can and getting it stuck?
Yeah, he'd be saying, just get a couple of Pringles poured out.
Yeah.
And settle that. You don't have
Just
to eat
pour
the
them in
whole.
your... Yeah, you don't have to put your whole fist in there.
Once you pop, you
Disgusting.
can't stop. Grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
What would Jesus say?
Epictetus.
Epictetus. So look, I think this is a good place to talk about problems, right? So our sales approach and the advised sales approach is forget about the solution, the features, the advantages, the benefits. Think instead of what core problems does someone need to have to make it worthwhile having a conversation with me? Yeah? You can do all that work, right? You can then get the best objection handling framework together. You can have the best follow-up strategy ever. But what could happen is I could reach out to you, Jack, and I could think statistically, this guy is the guy. He's going to have not only the problems that I solve, he's going to have the motivation to buy from me. And I reach out to you and you say, I have none of those problems. And not only that, I have no motivation to fix anything. In that regard, we're perfect. So it's not about focusing on what you want, what you're going to get out of it, but instead focusing on the process. If that script is refined enough, that approach is refined enough, statistically speaking to your ICP, someone is going to jump out and say, you know what, that definitely does apply to me.
And that's what sales is. We're looking to find those people that have the problems. I'd read something yesterday that said, like, if I invite a friend over to my house and I say, do you want a chocolate chip cookie? And they say, no, thanks, I don't like chocolate chip cookies. I'm not going to try and give you a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
Which I know is pushing product. I would have said, like, I'm typically invited in by people that have a sweet tooth and they crave something sugary that might have a couple of little chocolate chips in it. Wow. But it is that thing of, like, if you don't have the problem, like, we're big on sticking in it enough and making sure that you know that they're not qualified. They're disqualified because they don't have those problems. But you can't sell to everybody.
No.
It just doesn't work like that.
No, exactly. But what you can do is really make sure that you've squeezed everything out of the call. So let's say then, right, you, Jack, you haven't got the problems, okay? Well, then probably the next step is I'm gonna circle back and go for a one last question. And one last question might be just trying to find out, have those problems ever appeared? Maybe they haven't appeared now. Have they ever, or do they ever appear in, let's say, the year? No, they don't. Okay. Can I really push my luck? Then can I ask you one last question? Go on. Is there anyone else you know who's maybe a bit less fortunate than you who might be looking for X? And salespeople tend to forget that, don't they? Because you might be working in an industry where everyone speaks to each other. You might be in an industry where there's events, there's networking, there's all these different things. And once you get in with one person, well, no, I don't have those problems, but I know Jessie does down the road.
Yeah.
And she's been struggling with it for ages. And you know, we were just talking about it last week in the pub. In fact, let me intro to you.
Yeah.
Shy Bairns get nout.
Exactly. And especially in, like, big organizations, if you're doing, like, account-based stuff, you might speak to people that aren't the right people to deal with it, but actually the introductions that they'll be able to do or the information that they might be able to give you, it's just stick in it a bit longer.
Exactly. So don't go into the calls thinking, I'm definitely going to get what I want out of this. The end goal, the perfect end goal, I'm definitely going to get that. Because what your salespeople think there is such thing as burnout. And in a way there is, but it's not burnout like I'm a soldier on the front line. It's burnout because you've got an inability to regulate your own emotions. So we've got that attachment to the perfect end outcome. It doesn't happen. By the time the afternoon comes around, I'm feeling, this is awful.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do this anymore. If I focus on, well, there's all these different ways this can go, And actually, I'm not going to focus on the perfect outcome. I'm just going to focus on an outcome. The rest will work.
Exactly. And it goes back to that expectations piece. So New Year's Eve, typically the worst night of the year, because most people have such high expectations for it. I think it's going to be amazing. It's a new year. It's 2025. Let's go. It was rubbish. Do you know what I mean? It always is. But that random Wednesday night in Sheffield upon Wednesday, it was pretty good, wasn't it?
Exactly.
I've been Jack Frimpson.
I've been Zach Thompson.
Remember, you will die.
Pour some sugar on me.